The process of getting a resume to an employer is really important, but what a lot of folks don't recognize is that nowadays sending a good cover letter with the resume sometimes can be even more important than the resume itself. It sounds kind of weird, but what the cover letter does is it addresses for the employer those specific qualifications, skills, and accomplishments that you have that address what they're looking for. When somebody is looking at an ad in the newspaper or on the internet, employers usually have preferred qualifications and required qualifications, and you want to make sure that your cover letter addresses those particular qualifications that that employer is looking for to establish that I am a qualified candidate for this position. The letter should always be sent when mailing, faxing, or emailing the resume. It should be set up like a business letter. It should be addressed to a particular person. A cover letter should never say to whom it may concern. It should always be addressed to either that person by name, or if you don't have that person's name available, by their job title, so you know that that person is going to receive it. How to set it up? First paragraph should basically tell the employer what job it is you're interested in and give them some information as to why you're interested in that position. The second paragraph should have the information that shows I am qualified for this position. And what I suggest to folks is, instead of putting that in a paragraph, is to again put those short phrases, those bullet phrases, in the second paragraph so it jumps right off the page to the employer.
Sure, and sometimes what's also helpful for that kind of middle section of the resume is to even organize it in two columns, what's called a T-column approach, where on the left-hand side you list out what your qualifications are, what the employer is looking for, and list, 3, 4, 5, what those are, and on the right-hand side create a second column that says my qualifications, and then also in a bulleted fashion indicate how you are a match. Makes it very easy for that employer to select you for the pile to bring in for an interview.
In the third paragraph, if they ask for salary requirements, and only if they ask, you want to list the information that they want. And there's only one reason why employers want salary requirements on your cover letter, because it helps them whittle down the pack. So you've got to do your research, you've got to know your industry, you've got to know, based on your experience and your education, what you can command in today's job market. And in our area, it's very important to recognize the difference between Lorain County and Cuyahoga County. On average, Cuyahoga County jobs can pay as much as 15 to 20% more. So when you're listing the salary requirement for a job in Lorain County and you do your research, you have to recognize that most of the research done is in the Cuyahoga County area. So when you're pulling information off salary.com, or you're pulling it out of some of the books that are available that have that information, you want to make sure that you're adjusting your salary requirements to the area that you're applying to.
Sure, and be sure if you're using that to actually show a range, not just one specific number.
And to come up with a range, it's the hourly amount you think you should get for that job. Multiply it by 2,000, because you work approximately 2,000 hours a year in a full-time job, and then that gives you a figure. Let's say that you're looking for a job that's going to pay $18 an hour. You multiply that by 2,000, that's $36,000. So when you're telling them your salary requirements, you would say, I am looking for a salary in the mid to high 30s annually. What that tells the employer is you're being realistic about what the job should pay, and it also gives you a range in which to negotiate once that employer has decided that you're the person for the job. And then the last paragraph should be a strong action sentence to close it out. Not, I hope to hear from you soon, but I will be contacting you in about a week to follow up and to try to set up a meeting at your convenience. That's proactive, lets the employer know that you're a go-getter and that you're somebody who is going to take the initiative to get what you need. And what that tells the employer is that this is the person who's going to take the initiative to get what needs to be done if I hire them.
Sure, it positions you for a follow-up. And of course, you want to be sure as a candidate to note that so that you do follow up when you said you have, because that reinforces your commitment.
So that cover letter, in a lot of cases, just as important as the resume, but has got to be sent whenever you're going to mail, fax, or email that resume to an employer.